This movie is a prequel to the 1976 classic The Omen, which for me growing up was a movie that was so creepy, such a popular movie, and became a franchise. And it was a fantastic film directed by the late great Richard Donner, and still a movie that I enjoy to this day, telling the story of young Damien, the Antichrist. This movie takes place before those events and is showing how his birth comes to be.
Not real, it's not real. What's not real? Who said that?
Now you have this young character named Margaret, played by Nell Tiger-Free, and this character of Margaret who's going to be taking her vows at an orphanage. And it's really interesting how this film plays these events that seem like they fall right in line with The Omen, but they also seem pretty fresh. This movie is definitely not going for the story beats that we've seen in the older film, or even in its sequels, Damien, The Omen 2, The Omen 3, The Final Conflict, or even The Omen 4, the Awakening, I believe is what it was called. And obviously the remake was a rehash of the original. So with this film, we're following this young lady. She's new to all of these people, and she's just trying to, be a good person. She's trying to keep her spirituality strong. And the thing that we see is that she's in a place where she's seeing women giving birth, and it's very traumatic. She's seeing these children. She's seeing these nuns that are basically disciplining bad people, putting them in the bad room and all these different types of things. There's a lot of great shots during the day that are still very creepy. The characters are interesting. I mean, you've got a great cast. You've got some great actors. Charles Dance is in this as well, for very briefly, but Bill Nye, Ralph Ineson, they're just very good character actors. And so Margaret as a character, she's kind of maneuvering through all of this and trying to find her place is ultimately what she's trying to do. And it's interesting in the sense that we are looking at all these things through her POV. And she comes to find out that there's this young girl named Carlita that is not quite right. She gets disciplined a lot. She's very eccentric. She stays to herself. She's very quiet, an introvert and so forth. And Margaret takes a bond to her and becomes very close to her. And without getting any deep spoilers, the movie plays out where Margaret is learning about things about Carlita, but also about the people that are surrounding Carlita. Ultimately, we know as the audience that this is about the Antichrist being born, and we're figuring out things about this group at the orphanage, why they want this to happen, which we didn't get any of that in the Omen franchise. So that was fresh. That was a different take, and it actually, to be quite honest, watching the movie, not that I agree with it one bit, the reasoning, but I understand, why they are thinking that that's what they should do. And it plays into another little plot point, because there's rioting and there's a lot of protesting going on at that point, because the movie takes place in 1971. So there's this deep, dark plan to literally birth the Antichrist, and Margaret becomes kind of a cog in that machine. And so it plays out very interesting. Now, let me just say this, guys. This movie is very creepy. It's well done. It's well acted. And what I found very interesting, we just had Immaculate that came out, and I did a review for Immaculate. And if you haven't checked out that video, please do. Please check it out. And both of these movies have a lot of similarities, but they have a lot of differences. In Immaculate, they're going through this process to bring the second coming of Christ, right? In this movie, they're trying to bring forth the Antichrist, and there's a lot of different ways that the movies progress in their story. But the one thing that I found impressive about the first Omen is that there's a lot of scenes in this film that take place during the day, or it's right in brightly lit areas where you can see everything, whereas in Immaculate it was very dark and gloomy and dreary, and it worked well for the atmosphere. But there were times in that movie where I wanted to kind of see what was going on a little bit better. You have no problem with that in the first Omen. Everything is right there. It's brightly lit, well lit, so that you can see what's going on. You can see, the set, you can see the characters and everything that's going on. Now there are scenes that are really scary, and there are scenes that people are going to be talking about for a long time. One in particular, if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a scene where this almost gave the movie an NC-17 rating, and I've never seen anything like that in a movie. It's very jarring, and it kind of it creeps up on you. You don't expect it when it happens, but it does happen, and it was like, what? Oh my gosh. It was very intense in this movie, and it follows Margaret learning the behind the scenes of what's going on at this orphanage, and what's the real reason that they do what they do. And it's really, it's fun seeing this investigative aspect of it. She's putting the pieces together slowly. Now, one thing that I will say, the third act, it really ramps up. There's a lot of stuff going on. There are moments where, as you can expect, they're tying in to the original film, because this is leading up to Damien's birth, of course, and we all knew that going into this film from the trailer. So there are times when they're really tying into those threads. Sometimes most times it works, but there's a couple times when it seemed like they were really trying to, hammer it home. Maybe instead of continuing the creepiness that was already there, But I will say the only thing that comes to my mind that I think that they could have done, I think they could have tightened up the second to third act a little bit better. They could have probably shaved off maybe about 10 minutes or so, just so that it could be a little bit quicker paced, once we get to what we have to get to. The ending of the film was very well done, and it not only has a twist that you don't see coming easily, but it also keeps a door open that I didn't think that they'd be able to do. Me being a fan of the original film and its sequels, I was thinking that this was going to be something that had nowhere else to really go, and I think you'll be surprised to see where it does. So there was some surprises, which I thought was really cool for a prequel to a film from 1976. It's amazing stuff what they were able to pull off, and I think the standout performance has to be Nell Tiger-Free. She was really good in this role, and she played different rhythms to her character, which I thought was cool too. She was very quiet at times, also sometimes very social. She was trying to be a savior. She was also moments where she was dejected, depressed, terrified, totally scared out of her mind. So she really had a huge range of emotion that she showed, and The Omen being one of the films that she holds in high regard. I think she said it was in her top 5 all time. So you can see that there's a lot of love and a lot of intensity that she wanted to bring to this role, and I think she did. I really do. So for you guys, I'm telling you, if you get a chance to see the first Omen in theaters, you should check it out. If you're a fan of religious horror, this is a film that you're going to enjoy. If you're a fan of the Omen films, I think you're going to enjoy this, and it's still going to feel fresh. That was the thing that got me. It felt fresh. It didn't feel like they were doing the same story beats. You had some things that were familiar. They did the right job, because in a movie like this, you have to have some familiarity, right? And you also have to have freshness and take it into new directions. And they were able to do that. And you'll know exactly what I mean when I say that they did some things that seemed very familiar. And it was good. It was a really good time, and I'm really impressed with it. And it's getting a lot of great buzz. So you guys should check it out. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have seen it or if you're going to be seeing it. I'd love to know. We could talk about it as a community. Don't forget to hit the like button. It helps to support the channel, and I'd appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the Nightwatch Zone, this is the time to do it. Do it and become part of this fantastic community where you'll never love and talk about movies the same. So I'll catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Nightwatch. Peace.